Hey everybody, it's Greg Frucci again, the author of Path to 300, speaker, and I created a lesson for the Hay House World Summit that I mentioned in the past couple of videos called Run Towards That Which Scares You. This is actually video number 4, and in the last video we talked about pushing stuff down, which is a core message that runs through the entire series of videos and that runs through the core of my book Path to 300. So like I said, last week we talked about pushing stuff down, and I mentioned in the last video that today I was going to talk about throwing a fit in anger. It's something that we all do, and I know you've done it. I've done it, and I've actually recorded a couple of videos. Actually, I recorded one video. I edited out the F-bombs and the crying and the yelling, or most of it. The first pass through it. I only ended up with about 5 minutes of video. And that was fear and humiliation, which is one of the subjects 2 videos ago, I guess. And it took me a while to get to the point where I felt safe enough that I could release it in full. And you can actually watch it. I'm going to put part of it in this video, but I'll provide a link to both the unedited version and the edited version, just in case you have an issue with hearing F-bombs and watching a grown man cry and scream and yell. So why did I throw a fit? Well, and I mentioned this in the very first video. The first video, I skipped all the way ahead to the 3rd day at sea when I went through this massive storm, told you that story. And then the second video, I skipped all the way back to what got me to that point of taking off. And then the next one after that was basically pushing stuff down. And, you know, when somebody throws a fit, or when somebody... Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked from from Lucky running by. I hope maybe you saw him, I don't know. Anyway, I love the guy. He actually keeps me calm. And I don't throw fits anymore because he calms me down. And I calm myself down through meditation, which I mentioned that in a couple of videos as well. But so the day after the storm, so I'm going to talk about day 4 right now. So the day before, maybe you remember from the first video, I went through an 18-hour event where I'm alone 300 miles out in the ocean, in the Atlantic Ocean, basically halfway to Bermuda, which was going to be my first stop. And I wasn't prepared for it. I freely admit that. I was not an expert sailor. Not that anybody is, not that I am now, but that's a whole nother subject that maybe I'll talk about at some point, I don't know. Regardless, I went through an 18-hour event with waves over 20 feet, winds blowing 50 knots, and more. They were 50 sustained. And like I said, I couldn't let go of the helm. I couldn't do anything. All I could do was focus in the moment. Focus on what I was dealing with. I couldn't think about anything other than survival. And then that night, after midnight, after everything calmed down, I mean, I still had all of that intensity in my head. And I stayed awake for a couple of more hours. The autopilot was working at that point. It didn't in the future, and I'll talk about that too in another video. But the autopilot was working. I was able to set the autopilot and fall asleep in the cockpit. And I slept like a baby for 2 or 3 hours. Woke up, checked my position, went back to sleep again. And I did that a couple of times until daylight. So the day before, day 3, all of that intensity, all of that rain, all of that intense wind, those massive waves moving 25 knots, and I'm dealing with all of it, just constantly holding on and surfing like a surfboard. You know, it picked me up to the top of this wave, right? And then I start going down, and it's like I said in that first video, I think I said it anyway. So if you're going all the way straight down a wave like that, you're hauling ass. If you keep going all the way straight down, you're going to do this. So you have to turn into it and surf it, just like a surfboard. I'm a goofy foot, and I'm feeling it right now. And you slide down until you get to the bottom of it, and then you straighten her out, and then you look and see what the next wave is going to be like, because they're all different. And then the next one picks you up. Over and over and over. That part of dealing with the storm lasted 12 hours. No food, no water. I had to go to the bathroom. I did. I'll admit it. So all of that intensity. And then I wake up the next morning, and it's like this. A clear blue sky. There's not one single cloud in the sky right now. Hardly any wind. And the swells had died down to practically nothing. I had my engine off, I had the sails up, and I was barely moving because there was hardly any wind. And it was like it never happened. There's a quote I'm thinking of right now, and I've used it a lot. And I don't know who wrote it. I wish that I did. I wish I could remember. But it's, after every storm comes tranquility. Or something like that, I don't know. That's close enough. And you get the picture. And it's true. If you're thinking about some kind of challenge that you're dealing with right now, you know in your heart that it's going to end. It may not end the way you want it to, but the storm's going to pass. And then you'll be able to focus a little more, and you'll be able to deal with it. You will be able to deal with it. I'm a firm believer in we humans not being given something that we can't handle if we choose to handle it. Even me, being that far out to sea, alone, on a tiny little boat, and dealing with all of the things that I dealt with. That storm wasn't the only thing. On the way back, I left my boat after this storm, and after actually making it to Bermuda. I left my boat in Bermuda for 5 months until the end of hurricane season. This was the beginning of hurricane season on the way over there. 5 months later, at the end of hurricane season, I flew back on November the 5th, 2011. Worked on my boat a little bit more, put it in the water, waited another 2 or 3 weeks, I can't remember now, until I finally set sail again. And then on the way back, there were several things that I had to deal with. I've crossed the Gulf Stream in the winter time. Gulf Stream's very, very warm, and whenever cold air passes over warm water, massive thunderstorms are created. So I went through thunderstorms several nights in a row, but this one night, when I was in the middle of the stream, the thunderstorms were very intense. But I dealt with it in a completely different way because of what I'd gone through. So here's a lesson for you. You go through something, and you don't push it down and forget about it. You file it away and put it in your pocket, because I guarantee you something like that is going to come up again. And maybe you're thinking about something like that right now. So you have that file. You know it. You remember it. And then you go, oh yeah, okay, so yeah, I remember that. So here's what I need to tweak. Here's how I can deal with it this time. And then you deal with it. So that day number 4, I wake up and it's a beautiful day, and set the sails, and I was feeling really good about it. And I remember something happened, like tripping over a line, and I got pissed off just like that. Because that's the way I was back then. I used to get pissed off quickly. And those of you that are watching this that know me, you remember me. Change is a wonderful thing. Transformation is a wonderful thing. At the end of transformation comes what? Transcendence. Maybe I'll talk about that one a little bit later in another video. But so that morning, like I said, I got the sails set, and something pissed me off. I pushed it down a little bit and went about my business. Went up on deck with actually this camera and started taking pics of the sales and of the longtail that came to see me, and I'll talk about him or her in another video. But it's like I said in the first video, I carried this camera with me. I had it mounted in the cockpit of my boat. I mean, in the cabin of my boat, pointed out into the cockpit, and then I would turn it on and react to certain things. And I think I'm gonna have to stop the video because the sprinklers just came on, and Lucky's barking and chasing the sprinklers. So this is probably a good spot for me to insert the video. I'm not quite sure, again, how much of it I'm gonna put in there while I'm recording this. I don't know, maybe I'll put the whole thing in there. It's about 20 minutes long, which would make this video a very long video, and I apologize in advance if that's too much for you, but I'm thinking I'm gonna do that. But before I do, I want to talk about what I learned. Again, I spoke about sharing things with people, like-minded people. For instance, if you share the fact that you had a fit with some of your friends or some of your family, they might say something like, what the hell's wrong with you? Are you an idiot? What kind of anger issues do you have? And maybe they've never thrown a fit. I can't speak for everybody on the planet. But I've seen other people throw them. I used to work in a big box retail store. I've seen customers throw fits. You know, people throw fits in different ways. Maybe they don't yell and scream and go off like I did in the video that you're about to see, but you know, some people do. And I did, and I'm not afraid to bring it up. So, insert video.
Your best quality and your worst quality. You talking about me? What, my best quality and my worst quality? My best quality? Okay, I know what my best quality is. I just demonstrated it yesterday. Improvise, adapt, and worst quality. I get pissed off easy. You wear emotions on your sleeve, Frucci. You shouldn't do this. I'm real. This is real. This is who I am. I get pissed off, I let my emotions go out, and then I feel better. I was crying like a little baby last night, after it was over. That felt good. Letting emotions out like that, it feels good. I got nobody judging me out here. I screamed this morning. I woke up, I went about my business, shut the engine down, raised the sails, felt good about it. And then I tripped over a rope. And what I went through yesterday. Nothing. Having to pull my reserve parachute 5 times, 2 bag locks, nothing compared to what I went through yesterday. Those bag locks, that happened just like that. Improvise, adapt, and overcome in less than 2 seconds. A day that I thought would never end. A sky like this, I thought I would never see again. Seas like this, they're choppy, but I'll take that. I have a relationship with my career. I have a relationship with this boat. I have a relationship with the sea. I have a relationship with God. I have a relationship with everything. Relationships are, that's what it is. You're relating to another thing. Person, place, or thing.
So if the background looks a little bit different and the lighting looks a little bit different, that's because while I was filming, the sprinkler system came on. So I had to adjust a little bit. And yes, I got a little pissed off, but I released it and everything's cool. So, and that's part of the lesson, right? And Lucky's gonna add his little 2 cents in worth. The lesson is, it's okay to let it out. It's just like I said in the last videos. If you got to go into a closet, go into a closet. But the real lesson here is talk to like-minded people. Heck, talk to me if you want to. Put some comments down below the video. Whether you see this on YouTube or you see it on my website, engage me in conversation. All of those people that decided to engage me in conversation during the Hay House World Summit, There's over 100 comments. And I answered every single last one of them. And it wasn't like, oh, thank you, gratitude for just blah, 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 for saying what you're saying. People wrote paragraphs. And I addressed every single one of their issues. And they thanked me for it. They learned something from it. And I'm trying to adjust the light here because it's a little funky. And I apologize for that. But seriously, the old world paradigm, just like I talked before, was to keep the crap down. Don't let your emotions be on your sleeve. Don't talk about stuff. Push it down. That doesn't work. Look at all the negativity in the world. Look at the negative people in your life. It's because they're keeping their crap down and they're not talking about it. It works. One of my biggest lessons right now is the fact that I've released all of this. The fact that I'm talking about it. The fact that I talked about my own humiliation. I can't tell you how many people email face to face that have come up to me and said, man, thank you. You're allowing me to heal. It's beautiful, man. That's where we're going. That's where this world is going. We're getting back to community. We're getting back to helping each other grow. And if somebody does help you grow, thank them. Express gratitude. When you give thanks, you receive it more. You receive love more. And that gives you the capability of pushing love more out there in the world. It's a virus. And it's a good one. So I challenge you to take those steps of talking to people, engaging them in conversation, engage me in conversation. A common mistake, aside from keeping it pushed down, is letting it out too much. I'm not talking about hurting anybody. I'm not talking about hurting yourself. There's a limit. Don't do that. Please. But if you calmly approach a like-minded person that receives you and is able to give you constructive criticism back, you found somebody. If you engage somebody in conversation and they put you down, they tell you you're an idiot, you don't need to talk to them anymore. I mean, it's okay to talk about the weather, talk about the football game, or whatever. But that's it, man. Find a community of like-minded people and talk to them. So look, in the next video, which will be video number 5, I'm going to start a series of stories about, and I use the word spiritual here, but I mean, there's some freaky things. If you want to use that word, that's fine. If you want to use spiritual, if you want to use whatever word that you want to use to describe it, but things in your life perhaps have happened to you that you can't quite explain. They happened. There were things that happened to me at sea, like the story that I'm going to tell next, I think is going to be the long tail. And what that meant to me. I sailed through the Bermuda Triangle on the way back, and I'm going to talk about that. I talk about it in Path of 300. I didn't go into the depth that I wanted to, because when I wrote that book back in 2011, or actually I started writing it in 2012, I was still kind of in a scarcity mindset, and I was still kind of fearful about what people would say or think of me. Even though I was writing it for myself, I knew people would see it because I was publishing it. There was a lot I left out, and that was out of fear. Now I don't care. I mean, you can say whatever you want. There were things that happened to me out there, and maybe there's things that happened to you in your life that you can't explain. And it's time we all started talking about them. And I'm going to talk about them in the next series of videos. So again, if you like what you hear, if you don't like what you hear, I don't care. If you're a troll, I don't care. Put some comments down there. I respond to everybody in a positive and loving way. Even if it's mean. So again, discover what your soul wants. And tell your ego to take a hike. And I say that in a loving way. Everybody have a good day. Peace to you. Thank you for watching this. Dude, I have to record the video. This is video number 4. Do you want to just talk to people? All right, hold on one second. Come here. Hey everybody, this is Lucky. He has a voice and now he wants to jump down and play.